Okay, so I'm going to make this with the phone and not the mic. It's very sad that in 2025, I have to explain to people why not to be a racist. It's very sad. When we look at the history of martial arts in America, they've suppressed black African martial arts. That's very sad. They've suppressed heartfelt, sincere African culture. When Africans come here, they assimilate or they keep to themselves. There might be an Ethiopian restaurant here and there, maybe an African clothing store, that's it. America is continuing its racist ways, but everyone knows what they're doing is wrong. They know that people like me and Mandela and Bob Marley, people like Martin Luther King Jr., we would not treat them the way that they're treating us. We would not suppress their heartfelt cultures if we ran the country in a secular way, in a government way, what have you. They know we wouldn't do them that way. But they do us the way they're doing us. They treat us the way they're treating us. And they try to make it so my videos sound corny, trying to make it so it sounds like a corny sermon or some propaganda or a political speech, because they know that I'm right. I've never in my life heard anyone explain that. I've never heard anyone else say, hey, they're changing their voice and trying to make it so they sound, because they know my speeches are superior. They know I have the most heartfelt speeches. So they want to make it so I sound like Obama in his most propaganda-friendly moments or something, back in the day when he was president or something. That's very stupid. The sheer childishness that I see, the patterns I see, the racial and racist patterns, the way people are playing into the hand of the oppressor with their racial imperatives when they're dating, their blood money, financial imperatives when they're dating, instead of just being fair. I remember in 2016 when I used to go to Santa Cruz. At that time, I was the most handsome person that ever lived at that moment. And instead of females responding as such, they responded the way you would expect them to respond if I'm right about everything when it comes to social engineering and the types of groups that live even in liberal California. At one point, Orange County in Southern California was said to have the highest concentration of skinheads, in the world, or at least in America. Right there in California, by LA, right? The LAPD. The Bohemian Grove meets in Northern California. There's various groups that worship the devil that started here. One of them is the Aryan Brotherhood. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong about this, the Hells Angels started in California, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. I could be wrong about that. In Santa Cruz, there's a place called Scotts Valley where there's said to be a skinhead organization that operates there, and they spill over. I think that it's historically mentioned, it's mentioned historically that there was some racists that live in East Santa Cruz, historically. Now, why are they there? Why would you want to be by the beach in this very multicultural area where there's hundreds of Sureños, Southern Hispanic gang members? Why would they want to be there? That's asking for trouble, right? People come from out of town, they might beat them up. Oakland, what have you, locals might beat them up. The reggae crowd, whatever Jews that live there, so why were they there? Because society is governed by white, Jewish, and LGBT supremacy, and they're working the fallen angles. And when there used to be white people that were more reasonable, haven't seen them in a long time, except for my mother, they're like all gone. Be a cool hippie or something, maybe a skater, somebody who's friendly, somebody who's heartfelt, might even be a cowboy. They're all gone because they cancel cultures in what's supposed to be the most liberal place on the planet. It's supposed to go beyond even Paris, France. And they cancel cultures here. It's unbelievable. That's what they want to teach their kids. to be a greedy, spoiled brat that cancels cultures, that doesn't give Africans a fair chance. The most stigmatized and abused people in the last, 500,000 years, whatever it would be. Famines, political strife. They sink to the level of not giving them a fair shake here. And of course, African Americans, islanders, people of color in general, all on into poor white people. And what for? Well, what do they get out of this? Are things going great or something? I remember this one gentleman in Israel. He was talking to his fellow members of the government, and he said to them, "Why aren't you happy? Why are you killing all these Palestinians?" They got mad. They grabbed him and they ejected him from the meeting. Say, why aren't you happy? There's been this massive wealth transfer, as Bernie Sanders points out, in the last 70 years. Tons of money. I bring this up in many videos these days. 162 billion or so in wealth in the top 50% in America, and only 2 to 4 billion or so in the bottom 50% of Americans, and 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So as they're getting more money, things suck more, and they seem less happy, and they're flipping out and doing sadistic activities, torturing people. They're even killing cops. They're out of their minds. And yes, that explosion in Southern California, I'll go ahead and say it, it was something they did behind the scenes with technology. They terrorized law enforcement as well, which is part of why gang stalking isn't thoroughly exposed. It's part of why a lot of things aren't being exposed as much as they should be. It's kind of training day on steroids. The Rampart Division on steroids. There's a bunch of terrorists terrorizing people in society. So as Martin Luther King said, why isn't there, quote unquote, fair treatment where God's children are concerned? That's what he said. Fair treatment where God's children are concerned. I'm adding the why isn't there? Why isn't there fair? Why don't I have constituents and a solid group of people that tells the truth about everything? Why are you terrorizing people? Why are you raping women? Why are you raping children? Why are you turning out even grown adult males? Why is this happening? And you people still aren't happy, and you just keep doing it. And you keep playing your fraternity games, right? Trying to control who fraternizes with who, right? Your social clubs, who socializes with who. When I was seeing the Rampart Division video again today, because somebody had sent me a coded message. Again, I don't speak in code. I don't like it. People send me messages. And they were accusing me of getting the story wrong. So I went over again, and I realized, I was right. Okay, Suge Knight himself had implicated the police officers, right, from the Rampart scandal, what have you, in executing, in killing Tupac Shakur, and said they wanted to kill him too, and he got a graze wound to the head when Tupac was killed. And so I'm like, look, I'm right, they're wrong. What the hell are they talking about? Any other detail they think I was wrong? I did that video very well. Fumed, poisoned. Didn't spend a whole long time, going over that video, just enough to make sure the facts are right. I was right. Again, now they're trying to make it so I sound ghetto. And I want to sound ghetto. I'm not ghetto. I'm not from the ghetto. They change it because they're racist. Same reason they did the black faces back in the day. They make monkey noises. Same reason they call people tar, second word, baby. Very immature, very immature. Some of us are grown folks. I'm 43 years old. I'm a grown man. I don't make fun of people calling them racist names. I don't send them coded messages like the Klan with their burning crosses and their K words and their lynchings, coded and prolific or otherwise. That's child stuff. I'm a grown man. They go to these gentlemen clubs. Like Suge Knight was known for throwing parties or get-togethers at gentlemen's clubs, right? Gentlemen's clubs. Here's somebody who knows police officers. He knows the Genovese family and the Columbos, I believe it was. He knows organized crime. They have connection with internal affairs, almost certainly. I don't remember that part, but almost certainly. Okay, and these people must have felt some kind of comfort when it comes to the FBI, because you'd expect the FBI to come knocking on your door when you are a pronounced gang member who owns a record label that's influencing the kids, and a lot of conservatives are complaining about you, a lot of people in the community, and you're walking around with gang members and police. You expect the FBI to come, come there with a flashlight in broad daylight, as they say. So why didn't they? How are these people able to have a hand in? I do believe they had a hand in killing Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls. And they're over there in LA as the police department, right? Law and order, right? Social order. And they're killing people from 18th Street, I believe it was. They're setting up guys, and robbing them and killing them and so on and so forth. Just like in the movie Training Day when they robbed that one white guy who was like sitting on that chair or wheelchair or whatever it was. They settled for millions of dollars because of all the corruption there in Los Angeles. Where was the FBI? Why was it the community and individuals in the community and their complaints that exposed it and not an FBI investigation when all the signs are there? And it's a major city. Because things work a certain way. And people who have access to information, right? Privileged social clubs, privilege and privy. People who are privy to certain information told them to stand down. They told them it's beyond their pay grade, which goes back to blood money. You can't make this up. It is unbelievable how things work, but you better believe it. You better know it's true. You better look at the situation and accept that this is the reality. That you should rally to me and work the righteous angles, not join these people unwittingly or otherwise, working the damn fallen angles. You fail when you fall. You fall into the pit, into the snare.